Hello ladies and gents, it's the Korean vlogger back here again, and in this video I'll be talking about what you need to know for Korean universities. Okay, so first things first, year that you enter. That's a really important thing in Korean universities for reasons I'll explain a little bit later on in the video, but the year you enter is a little bit skewed in Korean universities because for a lot of the universities here, the normal school year starts in March. Well, actually, no, not a lot. All of the universities, the normal school year starts in March. What that means is international students coming in during September, you're actually coming in during the second semester of the normal school year. That creates some problems. Firstly, it's an administrative problem because you need to have two commencement ceremonies or two graduation ceremonies in order to accommodate these two groups of students that are coming in. You can graduate one semester early instead of an entire year early. Now, what this allows you to do is you take one semester off and still graduate on time. For the majority of Korean students that are coming into UIC, they are coming in as freshmen in March and they are labeled as 2013 or 13s for short. A lot of the people here identify themselves by their entry year. So for example, the people that are 1 year above me are 12 and people that are 2 years above me are 11s and so on. You get the gist. When you enter in September, since you're entering during the second semester, you get 0.5 added after your entry year. So there'll be 12.5s for people that were here starting fall 2012, and it will be 13.5s for people that are coming in this fall. Now, from my understanding, the commencement ceremonies are actually two separate ones, and they're vastly different. One's a whole bunch of just names being called out because it's a bigger ceremony. There's a lot of names to go through. While the other one's a smaller group of students, so it's a little more personal. Depending on what you do and what you accomplish, you might try to aim for one or the other, but more likely than not, you will be going to your respective one depending on which year and semester you enter. The problem that I mentioned, besides from just like management issues, is the respect system in Korean society. Korean language has some level of respect and formality built into it that if you're not familiar with, you might offend some people unintentionally or intentionally, whichever one you want to do, and that might cause some problems later on down the road. Basic university sort of respect policy is if you are a year ahead of me, then I respect you, and if you're below me, then I not disrespect, but I treat you nice, and that's called Sunbae, Hubae, or upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. You can have people that are 1 year above you and they'll treat you nicely. Maybe they'll buy you the food. Actually, they buy you lots of food. They'll show you around the campus, maybe become friends, or it's actually really hard to become friends with someone older than you in Korea, but that's another issue that I'll talk about shortly. And yeah, you have this Sunbae, Hubae, or upperclassmen, lowerclassmen system. What gets really confusing here is because you're a 12.5 or you're 13.5 or 0.5, you're not actually a full year ahead. So I'm a 13, 12.5s aren't a full year ahead. That's really rare in Korean universities because no one really transfers in during the second semester, and even if they do, it's a very rare case. You don't have a huge influx of students. All of the regulations and just administrative purposes treat you like you're a 12 if you're a 12.5 and 13 if you're 13.5, but it gets a little finicky because a lot of the international students that come in don't have an idea of this Sunbae, Hubae system. Even if you've studied it, you probably have never lived through it because a lot of the Korean, actually no, all of the Korean students that grew up in Korea do throughout their entire school life. So you're not going to be able to implement it all that well. And because you're not able to implement it, and because you don't really know to the extent of the Koreans that are treating you accordingly, it gets really awkward. And most likely you will be speaking in English, not Korean, which creates another problem because we're speaking in English. It doesn't have a formality thing built into it. That's one thing you should be aware of. If you're a Korean American or Korean Canadian, Korean Australian, Korean whatever watching this, know that it will apply to you more so than it applies to non-Korean foreigners. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, you know, we're all friends. Just because you're 1 year ahead of me doesn't necessarily make you like 10 years wiser. Don't try to pretend to be that. That's being pretentious. And just because you're a year below me in terms of academics doesn't really make you any more inferior. It just means you're 1 year behind. That's my personal take on the matter, but you know, people might disagree, and what can I do? That's what you have, and that's what you should be aware of before coming to Korean universities. I suggest you do some research on it, and I'm going to do a video shortly on like the age differences and how that affects relationships in Korea. But until then, let me know what you guys think, or post your questions down below. Just like, what do you think of this upperclassmen, lowerclassmen system? Do you think it's a good system or a bad system? Let me know what you think down below, and subscribe. Yeah, I haven't done this in a while. I think maybe it's my right thumb. Press the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel so you get notifications when my new videos come up. If you don't want to, I guess you don't have to. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.